Hello everybody, welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. If you watched the last video, you saw me running this brute force 1424 Firewood processor courtesy of Shaver Sales Incorporated here on the channel for the first time. Well, today is just the very next day and I'm so excited to try it out for a little bit more time. Last time I was a little bit rushed. I didn't start that video until about like 6:30 and had to run in for dinner. Keep the bride happy, if you guys know what I mean. I'm sure a lot of you do. But today I am out here and I got a nice log deck full of pretty good size ash logs, I think. We will measure them up in a second. But I just wanted to go over the machine a little bit. Again, I don't know too much about this thing because I haven't really used it. I only used it one time. So we're gonna walk around, I'll show you guys the controls, a couple of the features that I do know on it. We'll measure up those logs and then we'll make some firewood. So here's the machine. As you can see, I brought up an empty tote with a cutout in it. That way I can start throwing my offcuts, and I cleaned up all the firewood size pieces and put them in a fresh tote over there. Left the kindling and scraps kind of on the ground. A couple questions that I got on that last video. Now, I just posted that last video literally like an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. But so far, I got a couple questions that I can address. The hydraulic wedge, it is just that. It is hydraulic. Works on a cantilever system, similar to the Easton Made. You drop it all the way down and it frees up. You can just pull the wedge out from the top, and it even has a handy dandy wedge holder over here. So you can see we got the 4-way over there. 6-way is currently in it. Some people were saying that it makes a lot of scrap with all the resplitting and that it needs grizzly bars. Well, kind of has grizzly bars right here. As you can see, pretty good sized stuff can fit through, and a lot has already fallen down through a lot of that punk. So we're keeping all that really small stuff and fine stuff out of the totes, which I'm happy about. They do offer grizzly bars for this, and I'd imagine that they mount up to here, and then you can kind of see there's like some chain hooks over here to support them. Unfortunately, the other 1424 at the Boonville show was sold, and the gentleman that bought it wanted the grizzly bars. Of course, why wouldn't you want the grizzly bars? So this one does not have them, but they are an option that you can add on. Now, heading over here, this machine has the lights, the light kit, which is nice. One light shining down on the log deck, the other light, you know, kind of shining over this way to the business end of things. I believe this is the switch for them right there. We got a splitter pressure gauge. We got a clamp pressure gauge and a saw pressure gauge. Then we have our conveyor speed. Over here is our auto cycle valve, forward and reverse. This lever right here is like a 4-way valve. It's for the wedge up and down and the deck forward and backwards. These two little levers here, conveyor up and down, and the log deck up and down. So you're basically only using these when you're like folding up the machine or making some alterations to the conveyor. This is the splitting, you know, lever for the most part. It's the controls the log going forward and backwards when it's in the log trough here, and the saw and clamp going up and down. Now, the saw and clamp work in conjunction. Basically, when I pull this thing saw down, the clamp clamps down first and then the saw goes. Once it is cut all the way through, I push it forward and they both go up and, you know, release, so to speak. Over here we have the forward, neutral, and reverse lever for the conveyor. And then finally we wrap things up with the conveyor speed, which is adjustable. So we'll have to play with that at some point. Maybe we can, you know, put 3 or 4 totes underneath it lined up, and while the conveyor doesn't have like the swivel thing, maybe we could put like 3 totes and see if we can, you know, kind of fill all 3 totes by adjusting the conveyor speed, kind of like Adam did over on Hometown Acres. One of the more unique things that I noticed about this processor compared to others is the real open design of the whole thing. This, you know, log trough, I guess we can call it, is kind of like a really wide U shape, which I think would help kind of with crooked logs, kind of such as this one. You can see we got a knot down there, and you know, it sweeps up this way and then sweeps up back that way, and just having this big wide open trough I think helps kind of bring the logs in. Back here we have our measurements for our offcuts. So you know, if you want a 16-inch log for your last log, you would line up the end of it here, cut off, you know, whatever excess is over, and then you know, you end up with some cookies over in a bin over there. Other than that, we this model also has the extended, I think they call it like the extended frame. It's like a 4-foot extension. So I think on normal 1424 processors, the frame would actually end like right here, and it would really only be a 2-strand live deck, or a single strand live deck, I'm sorry, only with 2 legs. But on this extended frame model, they extended out another 4 feet to give you that extra leg, which offers extra support, and it helps support the, you know, longer logs. So I think they say you could put about a, you know, 16, maybe even a 20-foot log, depending on the taper on this thing. And obviously, if it's going to stick way out towards, you know, the end, you want the butt end facing this way. You know, that way most of the weight is supported over here. Underneath there, this is actually a pretty handy dandy little toolbox. If you could see down in there, one issue that I see is that it is on the live deck side, which makes it nearly inaccessible unless you're going to bend under the live deck like I just did. So I think a simple fix to that would just be to put it onto the other side of the frame in that big open area. But you know, who am I? So this is kind of what it looks like over from this side. It comes with your standard, it's like a 2-inch ball, safety chains, lights. This machine does have brakes on it, which is nice. I wasn't sure if it was going to have trailer brakes, but it does. Double jacks down here. We got our gas can here. I would like to see a fuel gauge of some sort on this thing. As you guys know, if you watched the last video, I did run it out of fuel, and not having a fuel gauge on a machine of this, you know, caliber, I feel like is kind of a little surprising. But moving on, we have our hydraulic tank over here. I believe this is a 25-gallon hydraulic tank. Don't quote me on that. But I think it is certainly large enough to, you know, accommodate the machine. And then, yeah, over here we got our Kohler 26.5 power EFI motor with the battery, with electric start. We have a hydraulic cooler over here, our bar and chain oil over here, and this one does have a level indicator on it, so that's nice. Over here, this one is equipped with the sawdust chute, which, as you can see, my OCD quickly made me cut open a IBC tote bladder, and I think it's been, let's see, it's been doing pretty good. Yeah, I mean, look at all the sawdust in there that we collected that's not, you know, now on the ground. That's the one thing with these processors I heard, you know, when you do have to do a clean out, because there's so much, you know, just going on with all the hydraulic lines and nooks and crannies and stuff, it does take some time, and it's worth taking the time to clean these out appropriately, you know, every now and then, maybe every couple loads. But we will put our IBC tote back here and butt it up to the sawdust chute, and you know, that just helps us keep everything a little cleaner. Coming around, we are back to the wedge holder, which I just think that's a really nice feature, you know, like being able to keep the wedge up off the ground, a spot to put it, and a spot, you know, to be able to swap them out is a pretty nice thing. As I said before, we got trailer lights, and there are trailer brakes. As you can see, there's a trailer brake controller right there, you know, going to, I don't know if you can see them, but the trailer brakes. This does have a slightly longer conveyor. I believe this is a 12-foot conveyor instead of the standard 10-foot. Again, don't quote me on that, but I believe that is what I heard through the grapevine. So yeah, that's basically a quick overview of the Brute Force 1424 Firewood processor. One other thing I forgot to mention, this Brute Force 1424 is equipped with what they call fast split, which means that the cylinder comes out and then I believe it has like a dump valve or some sort of mechanism to allow it to retract like twice as fast essentially as it normally would, which just helps speed up your cycle time and allows you to cut, and split quickly and more efficiently. So that is what I got on this. All right, so one thing I wanted to do was just measure the size of these logs. They say that the 1424 is capable of doing up to an 18-inch log. So we will measure this at the widest point, and right now we are at about 14 inches, as you can see right there. Now, the bar itself is, let's see, I'm guessing it's like a 20-inch bar, but you really only got about 19 inches of play up until this black part right there. So this is 14. It bows out a little bit here with this knot. I'm guessing that knot makes it about, it's about 16 inches over here. We're at about 16 and a half. So this one's getting close to the maximum size. But again, that's a really nice straight log. All of these for the most part are pretty nice and straight. We have one knot down there. And then this one over here, we're at about 12 and a half. This one about 11. So all these should go through with no problem. It's pretty funny, when you actually have to consider the diameter of the logs that are going through your machine. I've never really had to do that before. It always just meant more resplitting, which it still does in this case. But, visualizing that this is only 16 inches is surprising to me, because that looks pretty big to go through a machine of this caliber. But I guess that's just a testament to the the designing and the overall thought process that goes into this machine. quick log load of beech coming in. Some of this stuff will be great for the processor. Looks like there's a maple log or two in there as well. Oh yeah, we got some pencils in there. Some nice stuff. See how the 1424 does on some beech. Okay, so as you can see, the speed that I have the conveyor at, the tote is filling up more on this close side than the far side. So I'm gonna speed up the speed of the conveyor and see if we can even it out a little bit. We're at a 3 right now. I'm gonna bring it up to like a 4.5. Ourselves another full tote of some really nice ash, and I have to say, this is my second tote splitting with this machine, and I am already starting to get the hang of it. You know, muscle memory definitely comes into play here, and you know, the machine, although at first it looked a little you know, intimidating with all those levers and everything, you're really not using, you know, them all simultaneously at any given point. They all have their, you know, features, I guess, not features, they all have their purpose. That's the word I was looking for. And, you know, you kind of get to know them. So that part of the whole operation of the machine, I'm not too worried about. I'm sure as I get some more seat time on it, I will, you know, be able to, you know, just get better and better with it. Now, a couple of people also mentioned that the size of the splits, you know, seems big coming off of it, despite me doing the resplits. I mean, this pretty nice size piece of firewood. You know, this piece right here, is this larger? Like, yeah, it's larger, but it's not anything crazy. And like, you know, you can pick this up easily with one hand. Anybody could do that. My customers like my smaller splits, but they also really like the variety in the size of the splits, because I'm giving them stuff like this, which is kindling size, this medium size, all the way up to, you know, a piece like this, which you can throw on, and then you don't have to deal with the, you know, your fire for another hour or so, because it's gonna burn a little bit longer. This is not boiler wood. This is, you know, firewood, at least in the market here in southwestern Connecticut. And, you know, if you were interested in a machine like this, all you got to do is either swap in an 8-way wedge or, you know, send the piece through another time or two. So I'm not too worried about overall split size. I think it's easily controllable because of the openness of the operator station. Which is one of the reasons why I really, you know, it kind of drew me to the machine, having that accessibility. Because that's something that I haven't seen on other firewood processors of this size. All right, so there we go. Nice full tote of firewood here. Now, as you can see, lately, I don't know if you've picked up on it, but I have been trying to, the top of them, kind of stack them, you know, tapered out. So I'm, you know, it's all kind of stacked up on the top here to shed water off, stacked up on the back side, and then I have wood running this way in the center to fill in the gap. So I think that should help shed some rainwater off. And in the winter time, I do plan on throwing a tarp over these totes, you know, if we're expecting snow or ice or something. That way I'm not selling wood that is, you know, wet and has ice and stuff in it. But I'm hoping most of this wood will be gone by the time that the snow flies. So guys, that's gonna wrap this one up. I hope you enjoyed seeing this machine as I'm starting to get a little bit more used to it. I hope the overview you found helpful, just kind of walking around, showing all the little features on this machine. I'm sure as I get to use it more, I will uncover more kind of like you know, little creature comforts and stuff that it has that I just haven't come accustomed to yet. I'm really enjoying using it. I really got to thank AJ Shaver and Josh from Brute Force for, you know, giving me this opportunity. If you guys are interested in just looking at one of these machines or any of the Brute Force lineup, you know, anything from Firewood bundlers to log splitters with pullback arms, processors, all the way up to full processors with, you know, heat, air-conditioned cabs, disc cleaners, log grapples, you name it, Brute Force makes it, and AJ Shaver is your guy to, you know, get it from. He's a dealer here in Pennsylvania, so he's not too far away from me, and he covers a good portion of the East Coast as far as sales and deliveries go. It's been a pleasure working with him. So check him out at Shaver Sales Incorporated. His website is shaverequipment.com, and head over to his website. You can click request a quote, and there should be an option there. How did you hear about us? And if you wouldn't mind, just type in Dude Ranch DIY YouTube channel, and that'll really help me out, because the more clicks that he gets, the longer I'll get to keep this thing and keep making awesome content for you guys. So go check out his website. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. Any questions, comments, or feedback, throw it down in that comment section. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.